Today I'm going to upgrade, today I'm going to upgrade a BBC Model B from the standard DFS it came with the Acorns Advanced DFS. So I can actually use a GoTech drive. So this shows the original Acorn DFS. I believe I can plug the GoTech drive in and it will see the contents, but it won't actually be able to load anything off of it. I'll probably give that a go, which will probably show up on the video, or I might change my mind and not do it. I haven't decided yet. So what we've got is a bunch of parts. Oops, sorry, I've got a new camera mount, so I'm just trying to adjust it for the desk, which isn't quite ideal for what I'm doing for doing this type of thing. Anyway, got a GoTech drive, USB stick with a bunch of stuff in it, I believe, which is a bunch of BBC software. Have a replacement for the original DFS, which is DFS chips, which is on there, and got an Acorn DFS ROM, but also got a Watford DFS. I think I can put them both on at the same time, as I've got a Watford Electronics sideways ROM card. I should be able to stick both on, and I believe I can select between them, which is going to be a Voyager Discovery. I do have a wire, whatever this is for, I haven't found out yet, and a couple of pins which seem to adapters to actually go on a couple of pins. I'm not sure if I actually need these because inside here is a revision 7 board, and I think this may be for a revision 2, 3 or possibly up to 4, but I'll find out soon enough when I try this out. So next step is to take it apart, and then we'll see where we go from there. So I'm just going to do a quick test to make sure it works. Looks like, I believe if we do a star cat, it should give a list of what's on the disk, which may or may not work. So, okay, so it looks like we're sitting there not doing very much, but what we have got is a little light came on when I done the star cat. So if I stop that, it sort of goes away. So we know the drive works. So it's plugged in, so obviously what I do need is the firmware updates to it to actually get it to work properly. So let's just turn this off and start upgrading the chips. Going to start taking the screws out the BBC just so we can actually essentially start going down the rounds of replacing chips. I've got the 4 screws, 2 on the back. Find out whether I need to take out the keyboard afterwards. Make sure I put those safe to the side. Let's take the other one. We'll take out the two from underneath. Some of this will be reading the upgrade guide to actually make sure I've done this right, so otherwise it may mean either speeding up the video or I'll cut bits out of it. Okay, so we're in. Light's not great, annoyingly. New camera, so it's just only just pretty much had it installed, or put it in with a sort of wiggly mount, so I can see what we are actually doing. I think I will have to take the keyboard off, because what I need to replace is basically put that upgrade in this slot here, over here I believe, and that's the what for the electronics sideways ROM board, so I'm going to try and put the ROMs in there, so we shall see where this goes. So these are screwed in. There's a little bolt on the keyboard, so I need to undo the bolts. So slightly out of shot. So that's one of them, so I'll just do the other one. So what I should have is a loose keyboard, so I should be able to take out a keyboard connector, and there's actually a speaker connector there as well. Let's just take that off for the moment as well. So a few things here. So this chip here says DFS 0.9, so I'm going to have to remove this one. And what I'll do is I'll place somewhere around here when I work out which ones are the low ones, the highs, the bits. View sheet is a spreadsheet. View seems to be some kind of word processor, and I tried to try those out the other day to see what they were like. So anyway. Okay, slight mistake. Not that, it's a ROM socket. That's a ROM socket. What I'm actually doing is this chip here is an Intel controller chip. It's got PA271, and so this is the current this controller, which are actually replacing with this. So I was looking at the wrong bit, so what I need to do is take that out, which will be the fun bit. I need to get a screwdriver which I can get underneath it. Should really have the proper tools for this, but I don't. Another one to give anything a go. Do we get underneath, like maybe something smaller? Got one side of it. Okay, so we have, oops, can't really see that. Obviously that's not, doesn't focus too well on that, but that is one Intel chip. A couple of little chips hidden underneath as well, so to check on what those are to replace those. Are slightly aligned or not. So I was checking that the pins actually should be lined up, which they should be okay. So the socket's quite tight. Got one side slightly in. The socket is very, very tight. Okay, we look to be in. Especially because all computers hate trying to force them in too hard, just trying to wiggle it in without applying too much pressure onto the motherboard. Okay, do have a couple of chips. Need to work out whether, depending on the version of the motherboard, actually need these or not. So let's just do a little bit of research. Okay, I paused the video for a while because I was hunting down some things. Being slightly muppet, I was looking for a chip in IC78, but it turns out that this is IC78 and I didn't quite read where things were going. So I was looking at the Acorn installation guide and I'm still trying to work my way through it. Haven't changed any other chips yet. So it says chips 79 and 80, and it says if there's different interface, so that was the original Intel one was already there. It says it should contain 2 chips with 7438. These 2 chips here are variation on the 7438, so I'll probably leave the ones which are in there for the moment and we'll just go with that. It says, okay, so IC78 is this one, so I've already done that. It says if a socket is at IC86, which is this one, seems to be labelled IC86, and let's just get a torch, just check down the side, and it does indeed say 1846 next to it. So it seems that what I need to do is blah blah blah, sockets fitted, blah blah blah, and there's removed the 74 LS393. So using my not great chip removal tool, being the screwdriver, I shall remove the 7438, which I shall stick in here for somewhere to keep it for the moment. And it says stick a link between pins 1 to 4. So I have an adapter here. We've got 4 pins, so that should be okay. Let's see, figure 2. So we should be able to just stick it. So we've got pins 1 to 4 on the left hand side here. So just going to stick. Oops, not sure I can see what I'm doing because I've not got a great amount of light here. So let's just stick between 1 to 4 on there, which means I've got, oops, I should have 1 to 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this has only got 7 pins in it anyway. So it should be right. Let's just check how many pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got that fitted there. Blah 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 blah. Locate IC87. Where's IC87? Let's find the pins. Let's find the chips. 87. So IC's 87. Whoops. So the torch is just overdone. So we've got 87 here. So because that's in there, according to this kit, it says disregard the second link. So should not need to add anything else in there. So I've installed the 2 modules. So over here, oops, sorry, I've just realised So over here I've got the original DFS ROM. So called design. So essentially, if I've got that there, I should replace it with the 1770 ROM, which I've lost. Which should be the one here. Whoops, let's do, I guess, the Acorn DFS ROM. So let's just extract that one carefully. Oops, got to one side of it. Okay, not exactly the best job. So that is our DFS 0.9 ROM. Whoops, that focus isn't great on there, but it does say DFS 9.0. Let's just, oops, let's just move this up a bit. Let's just stick this in here, out of the way. So what I should be able to do is take the Acorn chip and hopefully, oops, place it in the sideways ROM. This may be slightly too hot. Okay. Chips are slightly too wide, oops, for the socket, so I just need to bend the pin slightly. So what I shall do is on my desk here, I shall lay all the pins on one side and just fold it over slightly. Let's do both sides so we can line them up. See if it lines up in the sockets this time. Actually, what I may do, I see 2, 4, 5. I don't know if this will work. Not quite sure how the ROM sockets work. We've got a ROM socket here, got a couple onto here. Sideways ROM is plugged into a socket here, so I should be able to, oops, utilize the sockets on. Let's just make sure I've got the right way up. So there's a little dip to the top, so it shows where the top and bottom is. Need to bend this slightly more. That's better, so I should be able to just slot that's one. There was something about, I need to read the instructions, and obviously I've not read the instructions, but there should be a method of switching between the two different ROMs. So again, oops, I should just remember I had this slightly out of view. Turn around slightly. So so I've stuck the Acorn DFS chip over there. It's not getting too much light bleed from outside, so it seems to have We've done the settings slightly. Oops, I don't want that. Change the brightness level down. Oh, maybe not the brightness, down slightly. It's not picking it up very well. Or the contrast. Is it saturation? Nope, let's change the colour. Never mind. Not great. So stuck the DFS socket in one side, so let's just see if I can stick the other ROM socket next to it. So we again, the pins are very slightly too big, so what we'll do is we just fold them over slightly on the desk. So just narrows the pins up slightly. Still slightly too wide, so just trying to make my life a lot easier rather than trying to force and bend them at the same time. So just fold them over. So essentially just laying them flat on the desk. So I can actually fold all the pins at the same time. Oh, nearly so close. So just folding a touch at a time. So hopefully that has it this time. Yep. Right, so that's seems to be in firmly. And what I should do as a quick test before I put the case back on again is I will let's just plug VGA cable back in. I should plug the speaker cable back in if I can find the port which was there. And I should be able to plug the cable back in, so at least I don't get any weird beeping noises. So I won't put the disk interface on at the GoTech drive on at the moment, just because I just want to test that the ROM it actually picks up. In fact, I've got the ROM on there. So what I'll do is switch my monitor, my right-hand monitor, to the interesting. So just setting my monitor to be input for VGA. See if I can. Oh, this So I've got a new stand for screen, and it's really stiff. Oh, there's a bit too much glare light coming in there. What we'll do for the moment is we'll just, still too much glare. Anyway, should be enough to see whether this actually turns back on or I get a nasty beep. Okay. Well, that's different. Got a beep and a flashing cursor. You can just see at the top. So obviously something's not quite in order. So let's try that again. Okay, so I need to come back and visit that. As I was getting some errors, oh, this light is terrible. Let's get some errors. I've backtracked and I've done a little bit of work, so I've removed all the changes. So now we're getting a proper beep, so it's loaded the ROMs. So what I've actually got is, I've left the DFS in there for the moment, the original one. Star Help gives us a list of the ROMs. I've got the Watford Electronics one there currently, although saying that, the other chip, the other Acorn DFS is in there, so I think that's the Watford one has overridden it. I don't know about ROM ordering at the moment because I haven't read that far. I'm just winging it. So at the moment I've got that bit. I think the error was because I managed to get the keyboard in incorrectly, so we're just going to give that another go, see if we can actually get it done correctly this time. So second attempt. So if we just come back down to, oops, motherboard. God dear, that's oops, let's move this wire out of the way. My desk is set up to be a workspace as opposed to a working space for playing with computers and bits. So anyway, let's just turn that off for the moment. I'm just going to open the curtain a bit again, just so I can see what I'm doing. Let's just unplug that. So let's unplug the keyboard again. And hopefully it should be a case of essentially got the ROM chips over here. The original DFS is slightly off camera just down there because I put it all back in together, and I got that beep and nothing when I originally put this back, so I think I've just made a mistake with the keyboard. So let's just remove the Intel chip again. So at least it still worked when I put it all back together. So that's at least one good sign. We'll take our replacement for the Intel chip and she'll put it in the slot. Just need to stick a torch on just to see if I've got it lined up correctly. It should be lined up there. All the pins are in the right place. So let's just make sure it all goes in. So slightly worrying when you get this little creaking sounds. torch and have a look underneath, and I not got it in on this side, on the front. So hopefully that's in this time. I think we're getting there. That's probably going to be as good as going to get. So I don't want to apply too much pressure just because I don't want to break the motherboard. So there's a gap underneath there, so it should be fine. So should be able to again replace IC 86 according to the manual I've got. So it's just I managed to lose a screwdriver already. Oh, there it is. Let's just pop that one out. Let's just move there for the moment. And the pins which I had, which should be pins 1 to 4 again, which is pins 1 to 4 there. Hopefully let's get the keyboard back in correctly. Yeah, this board has actually made the keyboard connector a bit tight, getting back in again. Which is a little bit annoying. It's actually made it very tight. Oh, come on. That is very tight. Interesting. That is. That is not helpful. Oh, that's annoying. Slight annoying design. So it looks like the lineup of the connectors, which is the back row pins there, is slightly too short for where the keyboard connector is with the new board fitted. So let's just see if I can actually get that connected. Yep, I think we've got that in, so let's just check around the other side. Yep, so hopefully now that's plugged in, we may want to actually get it to go through the self-test correctly. So one last go. Oh, that's a better sign. Yay! And what we've got now, whoops, let's just fold this back slightly. Ah, the light again. Is it now says Watford Electronics, which is a good sign. So I should be able to do help. Aha. Interesting. Oh. Thanks. Seems not quite right as I cannot type anything currently. So the right hand keys work, but we seem to have an issue with everything else. Anyway, I need to go and feed my horses because they're waiting for their dinners, so I shall revisit this in a little bit. So, day 2. Let's see if we can work out what this is actually up to. I did test this a little bit earlier, but it seems to be moaning about other things. So if I turn it on, it did have this little beep. So got the issue in the fact that I can type certain keys but not other ones, so I believe there's an issue somewhere along the line with the connector, which I was trying to force in yesterday. Yeah, so you can hear typing, nothing. I can do arrow keys, so the right hand work, but nothing on the left hand side works. So let's have a look to work out why this is doing it this time. So let's just turn this off again and unplug it. And let's just move so we're looking down. Oops. Oh. Let's move this cable out of the way. So I said earlier on, this desk is more designed as a work desk rather than a desk for playing around with retro computers. So what do I do? Torch. So I'm wondering whether there's a slight lineup issue on the keyboard connector, which is why it's having a bit of a moan. So let's just push down on that side, and let's turn it back on again. Oops, let's plug it back in again. I'm quite sure I'm meant to have more beeping sounds. We have more keys back. Just make sure that's in. Oh. Okay, so that's turned on. Oh, this is so awkward, this camera mount. Oh, bloody thing. Oops. There we go. So, looks like, fortunately I didn't take everything apart. So it looks like we have looks like all our keys. Oops, let's just turn that slightly over. So yeah, so looks like we were just, oh, that's gone out of focus. Looks like we were just slightly out of alignment. Cool, that is a good sign. Hopefully I won't get any more errors. I haven't managed to loosen these winds up off the board. Just checking on the wiring. Sorry about odd sound effects. So let's just shift something over here to move that cable out the way. This is not a great webcam for doing this. My phone was actually a bit better than the picture from this webcam. So I probably need a more high resolution one, which I may get if I end up doing more videos. So just had a quick check, make sure that nothing on this Watford board. Did look up at this Watford board on a computer museum, and they had some documentation, but it looks like they didn't have. There were some bits about the wiring that just said was missing, but on a disc guy I bought the ADFS upgrade from had on the CD actually had all the manuals, oddly, for this board. Still makes sense. Mostly it was to do with how to create ROM chips and something to do with memory and calls. Like I say, my basic introduction to BBCs is not that far. This is probably the most I've ever played in one for 30 years, and I never ever did this sort of thing with these because I never had one. But yeah, it's quite funky, so probably take the DFS chip out at some point. We'll see how things go with the GoTech drive and other bits, see where it goes. So what I shall do for the moment, as everything looks to be vaguely okay, I shall just for the moment actually I probably won't put everything back together again. I'll probably just plug the GoTech drive in first of all, just to make sure whilst it's apart whether it will actually do something. So let's just turn this off. Lots of ribbon cables. I remember ribbon cables from years ago. Hopefully I won't make a mess of this with bits flying everywhere. Oops. So it slots in slightly. Let's just hold on to the keyboard so it doesn't go flying off and break everything. So we have a power adapter, so the BBC itself powers the GoTech drive, and like a lot of original drives, I think some of the standalone drives were powered. Let's make sure I get this clip the right way round. Cool. Unless you're really bad, there's a notch on here which matches the underlying notch, which is underneath here. So all I need to do is just make sure push that in correctly. So hopefully it should be in enough. Can't quite get it to clip on, but that'll be fine for this. Oh, it's like keyboard fairly flat. Not so flat. so much easier when it's all together. I can sit things on top. Actually, saying that, what I should be able to do is just stick the lid back on just for a moment, just so it can easily play with that. Turn it back on again. Hopefully you won't get any odd beepings. Okay, so we power it up. So we have a little bit that says flash floppy, although it's obviously its cameras, as I say, it's not great, so it's not really showing too much. I've got a USB stick, which I haven't really checked the contents out, but may not have too much on it. To check what the actual contents and actually how to use it. So it actually says Elite at the moment, so I believe what I should be able to do at least is do star cat, which hopefully will tell me what's on the disc. And we get nothing, which is a little bit not so great. Expecting at least a little bit of something to happen. So with the original chips it did actually show up, but this one's not showing up anything. Oh, disappointing. Okay. So I'll have a little check of manuals and then see where we can go from there. So I'm just going to pause the video for a bit because that's going to be less entertaining. Okay, so I've had a period of time where I was trying to research things and try and work out what was going on. So I've just put things back to normal again. So back over here we have the original 8271. I've replaced IC a 7483, I think it was, in the corner there, and basically I've put the original 0.9 firmware back, which goes with the 8271, just to check to see what was going on. So what happens is now you can see that it actually lights up if I do a catalogue on the tape. So let's just do a star cat again, which didn't quite see my typing. Oops. So let's just do star. Oops. Do cat. And if we have a look, we get it lights up list of discs. So I probably hazard a guess. Oops. But the images on the disc are, sorry, on the GoTech are a double density or something similar, rather than the default one which was on there. So at least I know that everything around here is working. So possibly got something which is not quite right. The pins. Let's see. To see what is going on there. Anyway, I'm going to pause this for the moment and then revisit. I did a further investigation. I think what's actually happened here is I've actually just bent the corner of a pin here, which I've actually managed to snap off, which is, oop, I've got to focus, it's not quite yet. So you can see the pin there, and I seem to have actually managed to snap that off. Fortunately, where the board sits in underneath, and just trying to get it lined up, and so you couldn't quite see that pin there. So somewhere along the line, it's got a little bit bent. So I'm probably gonna have to then get another header and just end up resoldering all these. So that should be fun. So I'll come back to that at another point. So I'll see if for the moment I can sort out some single format disks for this. See if I can go from there and work out what images and then do that.